The only way out is through. There's no way out. Most of the way that we instinctively respond to our own emotions, our own suffering, is to either deny it or repress it. And there are zillions of ways of denying and repressing, and none of them are useful, except in extreme cases where you have to titrate an experience. But if you're having to do that, then you're only denying or repressing part of it. So the part that you're not denying or repressing is the part that you're going into or through. And meditation is one way of going into, turning towards what we would normally not want to turn into, turn towards. And one of the ways that mindfulness can really help with this is that mindfulness allows us to divide an experience into sensory components. And so let's say we're having an emotional experience. We talked about fear. So fear is, we have one word, so it sounds like one thing, but fear isn't one thing. It's several things glommed together. So you have thoughts in words. What if this could, I don't like this is scary, this could kill me, words. Then you have images, second thing. So you're visualizing, you're having pictures, you're thinking in pictures of horrible things happening, or bad things that have happened, bad things that could happen. And then there's the emotional body sensations, the clench in your gut, the adrenaline from fight or flight, whatever the physical, it could be in your jaw, it could be in your neck, your back. There's a physical, emotional component to this, okay? Now, each of those three components is capable of causing the other two. So the thoughts can cause images, the images can cause body sensations, the body sensations can cause more thoughts, like, I'm feeling scared, I must be scared of something. What am I scared of? So all of the three can cause the other two. So that's basically turns into a chain reaction. It solidifies the emotion. It gives it a lot of life. It gives it a lot of reality. If you have 10 units of thoughts of fear in words, and 10 units of thoughts of fear in pictures, and 10 units of feeling fear in your body, what's your total experience of fear? How many units of fear do you have? You're the actuary. Come on, Brian.
I'm going to guess it's exponential, like 10 to the third or something.
Yeah, which is how many for those of us that don't do math.
1,000.
Thank you. So 10 times 10 times 10. Each one's causing the other two. That's multiplying. That's 1,000 units of fear. That's a lot. That's a very solid experience of fear. Now, what if we kept each of those 10 units in its own silo? We take the mind in words and the mind in pictures and the mind and the body, and we just siloed it. How many units of fear do we have? 30. Now, 30 is a lot less than 1,000. Have we changed the actual amount of fear? Have we repressed it? Have we denied it? Have we fought with it? We haven't touched the fear. All we're doing is paying attention, using mindfulness to pay attention to each of those sensory experiences one at a time. And in doing that, we silo them experientially without any repression, without any denial, without any making the fear a problem. All we're doing is paying attention one at a time. That's how you silo it. So
you're moving the fuel from a fire so it doesn't spread.
we're not even doing that. A metaphor would be, you have 3 angry cats and you just put them in their own cage. And you still have 3 angry cats, but there's no fight. Right? And then the cats will, they won't be hurting each other. But they're still angry cats, right? If you stick your hand in the cage, you're going to get bitten. They're still, but there's no fight. We're not trying to rationalize our fear. We're not trying to talk ourselves out of it. Or whatever the emotion is, anxiety, fear, sadness, frustration. So the mindfulness requires 3 things. 1, we have to be able to focus. Okay. 2, we have to be clear on what we're focusing on. So we have to be able to focus on the words, and then the pictures, and then the body sensations. So we have to be able to do that mindfully. And we have to do all of this with equanimity. In other words, we sincerely are welcoming and allowing whatever that experience is. We're not trying overtly or covertly to get rid of it, to change it. Don't fake your equanimity. Be honest, okay? And the part of you that doesn't like what you're experiencing, that's okay. You don't have to like it. Have equanimity with the dislike, that's part of the experience. Your aversion is part of the experience of that emotion if you don't like it. So you don't need to pretend to like it. You need to accept the dislike. That's part of the package of experience. So the dislike of it, the judgment of it, the wanting it to go away, notice that in words, notice that in images, and notice that in your body as well. So you just do the same process on whatever your own reaction is to your own emotionality. That just becomes part of the process. There's nothing that gets excluded. But distractions get excluded. But anything that's part of the process is included. You don't have to pretend to like something or accept something. You just make your dislike of it or your aversion to it part of the process. That's just part of the emotional experience that you're working with. Does that make sense? So you take whatever experience you want to work with. It could be present, or it could be something from the past that you want to recall and work on. Could be the thing that you shared tonight. And you bring it to mind and you develop the the kind of description in words for a few minutes, and then you switch over to the imagery that brings up, and then you switch over to the body sensations, the physical emotionality around it. And the more clear that you can keep those silos, the better. That's your effort. So your effort is to stay with the issue and to keep the silos. If you're focusing on words, you focus on words. If you notice that images are coming up and you're getting into the images, then focus on the images. If the body sensations, the emotionality in the body becomes predominant, then focus on that. So you don't have to force, but you want to keep clear. You want to keep clear on which one you're focusing on. Some people, the movement between the silos is slower. You can stay for a few minutes on each. Some people, it's a little bit more quick. Some people in real time can actually stay with, oh, thought, feeling, image, feeling, thought, that kind of thing. And then that's fine too. So you find your own way into this, but you have to start by being very clear on what's thinking in words, what's thinking in pictures, and what's feeling in the body. Ultimately, the power that this has comes from the tracking each one with equanimity. And you don't want to stay in your head. So make sure that you're tending to the body. You're tending to the emotions that are in your body, because that's where the power is. So don't spend all your time with thinking, but you can certainly track the thoughts, and then track the images, and then track the body sensations. Some people find it very helpful to label while you're doing this kind of mindfulness, this kind of insight. So if you want to label the flavor of the emotion, fear, anxiety, sadness, whatever, that's fine, but you only need to do that once. Don't stay with the conceptual description of what you're experiencing. Stay with the sensory experience. So if you want to label, you can label every 3 or 4 seconds, and you just say to yourself, thinking, imaging, feeling, or seeing, hearing in, which is words, seeing in, which is images, feeling in, which is emotions in the body. Find a label that's simple and direct for yourself, and label the sensory experience. That helps you stay in that silo. And then when you jump to a different silo, you just change the label. You want to label at least every time you change silos, but if you label every 5 or 10 seconds, that can help stay focused and clear. So that's a lot of instruction, really briefly. Does that make sense? This is very powerful meditation. It's not simple. You're juggling 3 balls with equanimity, which means when you drop a ball, you just pick it up. You don't get down on yourself. You just, okay, here I am. If you get distracted, bring yourself back. Stay with one issue. Okay. If it seems like it goes away and there's not much there, you can try to recreate it in thought or image. And if it's really gone, that's fine. It's gone. It'll probably come back if it's something big. But you're practicing on how to work with it.
A question.
Yeah.
Can you do this with physical discomfort?
Sorry?
Can you do this with physical discomfort?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you add in the physical component of feel out, or pain, or whatever you want to call it. Okay? It's like the feel in, see in, hear in thing. So see in is images, hear in is words, or thinking in words. And then feel in is emotional body sensations. Feel out, which is more outward, is physical body sensations. See out is ordinary seeing. Hear out is ordinary hearing. So those 6 labels define our sensory experience. So that's Shinzen's simple 6 ways of experiencing through our senses. Senses include the mind. But you can make up your own labels if you don't like those. The labels are irrelevant. Just keep them simple and sensorially accurate. So physical sensations, especially if they're really uncomfortable, typically generate emotions. They typically generate thoughts and images and certain emotional sensations. So you work with the whole range of it. But you can start with, oh, ow, or What's that?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I'm having trouble with image. What else could image be? Fantasy, intuition? Like, I don't get a lot of images, so I feel like I'm missing a silo.
You don't think in pictures
No.
at all, or just little?
Not at all.
You can't imagine the pink elephant in the middle of the room?
I mean, if you wanted me to, I could. But yeah, no, more like intuition, energetic.
But what sense gate does that appear in?
What do you mean? What sense gate does my intuition appear in?
Yeah, does it come up in words or images or body sensations?
Like a knowing.
Okay,
So probably more thoughts.
but how do you know that you know? Like, how does the information come to you?
I guess maybe probably more in thoughts.
In
Thoughts
words?
Or feelings, yeah.
Okay, or feelings like
Yeah.
body sensations. That's totally
Okay.
fine. So when you dream, do you have images?
I rarely dream that I remember anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought I wanna like make sure I have all three silos.
Well, occasionally I've actually, occasionally people show up who don't think in images at all, and that's just part of the human mystery, right? Of how we do this as humans. But so if I say, like, can you visualize your house? So you can think in images. They just don't appear spontaneously that often.
Right.
Is that fair? Okay.
Like I would have a feeling about my house or something like that.
So what you might discover, and I want to underline might, okay, is you might discover that you actually do have images, but you're not used to paying attention to them. So they stay subconscious.
Or they don't seem important to me.
Well, same thing,
Yeah.
that they stay subconscious. And in doing this, and you said you're a therapist, right? So you know that things that are subconscious can have a sort of weird, controlling kind of effect on us, right? They can affect us in ways that we're not aware of, but they're happening. So one of the ways that this meditation can help clarify emotional experience is that it can make things that are unconscious more conscious. And that can be really healing and really clarifying and helpful. So you may find that you actually are having images or thinking in pictures that you just aren't as aware of, and that it's actually helpful to bring that to light. Or you may find that it's just a blank screen most of the time, and that's also fine. And there's no issue with it. So just stay open to that possibility. Any other questions? Or we're going to do this. We don't have a lot of time, but we're going to do this, and we will do it. I'll guide it, okay? But I'm just going to guide the instructions. I'm not going to keep guiding, so I'm going to just give you cues, okay? So whether you need to remember or activate your connection to some kind of emotional challenge or suffering or stress or anxiety, or if it's just present by itself right now, come into contact with that. And first, notice your thoughts about it in words. Or maybe that's how you're bringing it to mind, by remembering it. And just stay focused on your thoughts about it. If it's helpful to say to yourself, to label it every 5 or 10 seconds, thoughts or thinking or herein, you can do that. If there's any resistance or judgment, notice the thoughts around that. That's just part of the situation. But you yourself are observing. You're aware of, you're mindful of what's happening, this emotion, this situation, these thoughts. Now shift your focus to thinking in pictures or images around the same emotional experience or suffering or conflict or however you want to call it. Just stay focused on any imagery that comes up around the situation or remembering it. If it helps to keep your focus on that, you can label see-in or image. Staying very matter of fact. Just allow whatever images that come up to be there. Now let go of that focus and bring all of your attention to your body, specifically emotional body sensations, feeling emotions physically in your body. It might be very subtle. Just relax and let awareness settle over your face, your chest, your belly. Or anywhere else that you might be feeling what you're feeling. Again, you're not trying to change anything. Just allow it to be exactly how it is. If it helps to maintain the focus, you can label feel in or feel. So now, regardless of whatever you would describe the experience that you're working with, whether it's fear, anxiety, or loneliness, or any other type of difficult emotion, you've divided it up into 3 sensory aspects or components. If you feel clear on those 3 aspects, just allow your attention to go wherever it goes, keeping it in this emotional experience, but allowing it to go freely between thinking in words, thinking in pictures, or feeling in the body. It might be helpful to label those 3 sense gates as you move between them. But just notice how your attention can move between them. One causes another. in the same experience of fear, or anxiety, or whatever it is. You can also keep defining the three sensory silos and just go back through them one at a time, using your attention to choose which one you're in rather than allowing it to move freely. The important thing is to know exactly where you are in seeing in, hearing in, or feeling in. You're just observing, not trying to change anything.